What's going on, guys? So today we are going to be reviewing the brand new Gamesir G7 Pro. So to start off, this is the controller right here. It also comes with your charging stand and two different other D-pad choices right here. It comes with a dongle to connect it wirelessly to the PC. And of course, it comes with a cable. This is not the current cable. This is just the cable I have plugged into the PC at the moment. So that isn't going to be the cable that I am using. So now that we have basically went over the stuff that comes into the box, let's go ahead and talk about the base features that most people will probably know about. It is tri-mode connectivity, so you can connect it to your PC or mobile device. You can also connect it to your Xbox via a wire. So it is wired through Xbox. There is a wireless collaboration with Fallen Feathers. So that will be coming out in the near future. And look for a pre-order available on Gamesir's website if you want to wait for that one. Now, I do have some accessories on this. I have one of Gamesir's thumb caps on this, and I have a precision ring from Kontrol Freek on this as well. So we're going to go ahead and remove those. And while we're doing that, you notice that the thumbsticks are removable on these. That will probably allow for different thumbstick models, different thumbstick like heights and stuff like that in the future, but those are removable, as well as the faceplate. Now, I'm not going to get too in depth into removing everything because the actual thumbsticks for me are a lot harder to remove because the top part comes off, and then getting the whole thing off is not as easy unless you have the right tool. And as you can see, I don't have fingernails, so that doesn't help. But there you go. It's a 3-piece, so 3 different pieces. That comes off right there. And then you could take these off too. Like I said, you could, don't lose the ring though. You definitely want that to be on there. You can take these off pretty easily. You can also take these off as well, but I can't get underneath them. There's nothing to grab onto them. I don't have a tool to get them off. I don't want to break anything underneath and the mechanism of the TMR sticks. So I'm just going to leave those on. There's definitely some other videos out there where they take them off, show them to you and stuff like that. I just don't want to ruin the controller, as it is the controller that I'm currently using. So you can definitely do that. TMR sticks versus Hall Effect sticks, definitely something to talk about. The best way to probably talk about that is going to be saying that it makes it feel like more sensitive, like it feels like it's a faster sense, it's more responsive. But what better way than to have the CEO explain it himself?
Mhm.
When it comes to TMR and like regular Hall effects, if I was like someone that didn't know what that was, how would you explain the difference between
Yeah,
those two?
yeah. So first of all, they're all anti-drift, and this is quite a funny thing, but I rarely talk about anti-drift anymore just because it's such a standard, default thing at Gamesir that our marketing says we have to print it on a package because I forgot to talk about it all the time. But every Gamesir controller we currently offer is either equipped with Hall Effect or TMR, which are both anti-drift. So you never have to worry about drift to begin with. But the difference between TMR and a Hall Effect is that TMR it's magnetic based, but it's using a totally different sensor. So Hall Effect is using a current varied IC, but TMR is more voltage varied, which means we are able to get way better sensitivity and response, especially doing micro movements.
So you get faster and more response, especially with those micro movements. So if you barely move the stick, it is going to have a faster response, and you're going to be able to make those definitely pinpoint accuracy changes and aim to your stick a lot easier with TMR, even better than Hall Effect. Obviously, Hall Effect, it was very, very good. This is just a step above that. That's going to give you even more accuracy with your controller. But yes, that was me asking that question to the CEO of Beta, and he was able to answer it and make it more simple for us to understand. And we definitely appreciate that because it just gives us more insight. He's also a gamer. He plays Call of Duty, stuff like that. So when gamers are involved in the development of controllers, they definitely think about us and what features that we want to see, and we do appreciate it. So TMR sticks, that's what those are all about. That's the upgrade, the difference between the Hall Effect stick, which would be like on the G7 SE, versus the TMR stick that is now on the G7 Pro. Now, I primarily use these controllers on Xbox, so there might be some other controllers out there that have those that may be for PC or other devices. Also, with this controller, you're going to get micro switch D-pads, micro switch A, X, Y, and B, micro switch trigger stops. So with the trigger stops, we can go to the back of the controller, and don't mind the dirtiness right here. That is just sweat. Like, that is not dirt. That's literally just from sweating. So that why I don't typically like white light colored controllers, but it is what it is. My hands do sweat a lot. So turn on the trigger stops, and then these become micro switch trigger stops. You probably won't be able to hear them because of the noise gate that is on my mic, but they are micro switch trigger stops. You also have the same traditional two back buttons. The button right here in the center. So the button right here in the center, you can switch from Bluetooth mode and dongle mode. If you're using the controller wirelessly, I always use it wired anyways. You can lock the buttons, the two back buttons with this switch right here. So if you switch it over, you can't press this button in. So if you accidentally press these buttons and you're not using them, you can lock them so you're not accidentally pressing them. And then you have two additional buttons right here. I really, really love these buttons. I was using one of these buttons in Fortnite to edit. Very, very nice. And there's even more stuff that you can do with the software, especially for PC, obviously. So, all right, so we can run a little test in X input just to see like the duration and like the polling rate. I have it set to 1000 right now. We can see some outliers. So we have 6 outliers, minimum 0.5, max 7.95, jitter 0.02, average 0.95, polling rate 1050. Pretty good results right there. Another thing we could test is the circularity of these sticks. So we can go ahead, spin the sticks slowly to test. So that's exactly what we're going to do. 0.0% air. I mean, I've used this controller also for a month. So it's not a brand new controller out of box. Obviously, you could tell by when we showed the back of it. 0.0% air on these sticks. So very, very good right there as well. After a month use, obviously that was my first test. Didn't even know that that was going to show up as 0.0. I believe the SE, I have for the SE for 3 years. If we want to do a comparison on the SE real quick, just for science, this controller I used for 3 years. Literally has 3 years of wear and tear on it. Let's see what this one presumes. Now, when I got this controller, I think it was 0.01. So let's go ahead and test this one and see what we get. 0.1 again, not 0.01, 0.1. So it's still 0.1 after 3 years. 0.1. 3 years of use on this. Still 0.1. Now, those are only tests that I can do personally. I would love to test like the response time on the buttons and stuff. But that requires further hardware and stuff like that. And I just do not have that software or hardware to make that happen. Now, the next thing I want to take a look at that is a little bit new is going to be the software. Obviously, this is like the newer Gamesir software, but let's go ahead and take a look at it and see what you guys can do. So obviously, this is where you would set your report rate, 250, 500 to 1000 hertz. I've talked about this in the past. PlayStation, I've set at 500. I know on our Xbox, I have set to 500. Yes, I know Xbox is locked at 250, but just from experience, I play MLB The Show. Trying to hit a 104-mile-an-hour fastball is a very good test on like latency and like input delay and stuff. And I swear I can be more on time on those fastballs when it's set to 500 than when it's set at 250. So even though I'm not getting the polling rate, I believe I am getting better and faster input delay when it's set to 500. 1000 hertz, it gets a little buggy when I switch like profiles. I've noticed now maybe they have fixed this since an update, but normally when I switch profiles, like right now I'm pitching, if I go to like my hitting profile, my controller would basically freeze. I would have to unplug it, plug it back in, it would work. That's annoying, especially when you're playing a baseball game and every inning you're switching profiles. Now, if I was playing Call of Duty, I could just set it and go, right? So I can probably do 1000 hertz on that. But when I'm switching profiles every single inning, I don't want to have to unplug my controller and plug it back in every single half inning. So that's why I have it set to 500, because I don't run into that issue. But I do feel that I am getting a faster response time and input delay when it's set to 500. Is it placebo? Maybe it is, because Xbox does lock it at 250, but does not mean it might that the controller, when it's set there, it's set to 500 mechanically in the controller. So maybe it's getting that faster input delay. So who knows? But that's just my personal experience. And I want to share my personal experience with you with this controller. So vibrations, I don't really play with vibrations, but they have all the settings. I can't really explain these because I don't really use vibration, but you can try grip vibration. They have trigger vibration. So you can definitely try that out if you want to, and you could force it. So when I press this, it's going to force the vibration in the trigger and in my left hand and on here. I could try it out. So that's kind of like where you'll see vibration. You want to have that, you can have that on. Triggers, you have dead zones for the triggers. I don't really ever change my dead zones with the triggers. I always have either the trigger stops on, right? So I have the digital trigger stops pretty much enabled, so I don't have to worry about that. So we always have those, especially for shooters. And then when I'm playing other games, the trigger's not that important. So maybe racing games, you might want to mess with dead zones, anti-dead zones, even curve adjustments on the triggers. So I don't even know what that would do. I've never used anything but a linear curve on on a trigger. So, but they have the settings for those that want them. Also, motion settings, output, input, dead zones, anti-dead zones, curve adjustments. They have tilt, all kinds of stuff. I don't use any motion settings at all. I don't play any games that would use this. So it's not for me, but it is here for those who want it. Now, this is where things get a little interesting. You have your sticks, your left stick, your right stick, your dead zones, your anti-dead zones. Once again, I don't use anti-dead zones, but you can move this bar and see what it does. It's going to give you stick drift, right? The anti-dead zone, if I move this up, like right now, I'm barely getting any stick drift, right? If those numbers are set to 0, it's 0 stick drift, but I have 0 dead zone. So when you have a controller at 0 dead zone, a lot of times it's going to have some stick drift. It doesn't mean it's going to recognize it in game, but it could definitely have some stick drift when it's set to 0, because the default on all the controllers is 10. So when you go below that threshold, you could and may experience some drift. So the anti-dead zone, what that's going to do is going to raise it. It's going to act as if it has more. Yeah, it's just doing more and more. But then if I raise this, back to 0. But see how sensitive the stick is now with the anti-dead zone? See how sensitive that stick is? If I barely touch it, how much it moves? Where if it's down here, it's more, I have more precision. So if you want a faster sense, if you wanted to like react a little bit faster, you would raise your anti-dead zone. See, I don't use anti-dead zone, but we're figuring out together what this does. So if I have like a 0 dead zone, I can still move around pretty quickly, right? If I raise this, just go dramatic here, it already gives me a heads up, right? It's already saying, okay, you're going to start there. So if I raise the dead zone, then we go all the way up, right? Barely touch it. And look how much it moves. Barely touched it. I'm barely touching it. I want to show you guys just so we can show you. Look at how much I barely touched the stick and it moves. Wait, I have to have the screen on the app. Hold on. Barely touch the stick. Look at that. Barely touch it. Barely touching the stick and it moves that much. That's what anti-dead zone does. Because if I move the anti-dead zone down, now if I barely touch the stick, it doesn't do nothing. You have to like really, I have to like touch it. I have to like move the stick more. So if you want a very, very sensitive stick, anti-dead zone, it's going to give you that more sensitivity. Obviously you have curve adjustments. I rock linear. Definitely can mess around with these depending on what games you play, especially on the right stick. Like let's say you play linear on Call of Duty, but you want a different like feel. You could a curve adjustment to something like this. So linear looks like this. And then so what if I want something like almost linear, but not quite? I can go like that, right? So you can do a lot of different things with this and find something that you like for whatever game that you're playing. They also have the circular and raw. I feel like raw gives you, it's more sensitive. If you were to go like raw, the corners are just it just looks different, right? So it's circular instead of like almost like squared. But I'll make sure I put those back, right? I don't want to change too many settings. 0, anti-dead zone 0. Make sure I don't really change anything. But that's what these can do. Advanced mapping, they have some stuff here. Wouldn't really mess with any of that. And then buttons. This is where things get interesting. This is why I wanted to show it off on PC. because let's actually go to my other profile. I think I have it right here. This is my PC profile. As you can see, I have R5 as P, L5 as, and the reason for that is when I was playing Call of Duty, I would have this button right here as dive. And then on Call of Duty, I would have P as dive. So I don't have to hold to dive. It's not tap to dive. I get an instant just dive and it will dive for me. And that's really, really helpful in like Call of Duty and stuff, because I have a dedicated dive button. So it's going to help me out with movement. I might even be able to show that off a little bit. If we can update Call of Duty really quick and show you guys what I mean. While I'm waiting for Call of Duty to download its update, I want to show you guys another clip from our Gamesir CEO beta of trying out aim labs with the Gamesir G7 Pro and seeing how he can do.
They're perfectly matched with the cutout, though a octagon rim will actually not fit. But for G7 Pro, where you can take the top off, I think octo rims could work. It's just that, you know, we thought about building one because we're also quite deep into the fighting community. It's just that we just want to build a D-pad better rather than figure it out like octagon sticks, because we knew that it's not going to work for every controller we would build. It's only going to work for the Pro with a removable top and the faceplate. So yeah, we decided to keep it as a DIY kind of thing. And to support that, I actually released like the faceplate files in Discord, so anyone can build like modded faceplate for G7 SE, the G7 series. So it's gonna be for SE or for the Pro. I thought that was really cool, and we just hit 50K.
All right, so 50K in aim labs is pretty good. I think he said his high score is roughly around like 75,000 with the G7 Pro. It's like I need to freaking get in the lab as well, man. Get my aim up because I am rusty in my old age. All right, so hopefully I can show you guys exactly what I mean here. All right, so like I said, we're gonna use this button right here. I want to show you guys like when I actually dive. Let's go to the game so we can kind of tell. You guys can actually see it. So ready? We're gonna go. Oh, got to actually sit up right. Boom. It's an instant dive. A very good fast reaction, and that's gonna help us with like our movement and stuff. And like I said, with TMR sticks, you can get very good fine aim. And that brings me to my next. I don't even know where that was. That guy got me from. Oh, right there. Now I see it. Oh. So as you can see, very fine aim right there. And you know, messing with the settings, finding the settings that work for you is definitely going to help you out a little bit. As you guys can see right here on the curves, for Call of Duty right now on the right stick, I'm rocking this curve with linear in game. Just trying something different out, right? Just really trying something different out and seeing if I enjoy it, see if I'm aiming well. And I'm enjoying it so far. So I definitely like that. Along with all of this, let's talk about like final words and stuff with the Gamesir G7 Pro. Obviously, we do have the removable faceplate, and yes, you can swap the faceplates. You might even heard Beta talking about it. You can swap the faceplates with like a G7 SE plate if you're using certain D-pads. So, for instance, this D-pad that we have on right now is not compatible with the SE plates. Reason being, the SE plate, it's a plus, right? So you need to use the one different D-pad that is compatible with that. This one is a plus, but however, it's still rounded. So that one will not work with the G7 SE faceplate. This one will not work with the G7 SE faceplate, but this one right here will. So you put this one on, and then you would swap with the faceplate for the SE or any G7 series, and then boom, you got a new faceplate. So if you want a different color on the top, by all means do that. So that's just something else I wanted to go over. However, I do like this rounded one, like kind of like the Elite controller type style. I actually really like it. I mess with it. So that's the one I rock. And then you can just put these back on. Doesn't matter the order that you put them on. It'll go back on just fine. And there we go, back to normal. But yes, you do get these other D-pad choices if you choose to use them. One you can use with the other SE faceplates, others you cannot. This is a charging stand. It comes with a cable as well for the stand to charge it, and then you would just set it on here and charge it if you want to use it wireless. And that is going to be it for my review. I enjoy this controller. This is my everyday controller, whether I'm on PC or Xbox now. I mean, I might switch to the other controller just for fun, but the G7 Pro is the way I go. I like the sticks. I like the sensitivities. I like the different settings that you could do. I like the D-pad. I enjoy the micro switch buttons on it. Very responsive. I like the extra buttons, especially on PC. I utilize them more on PC than I would on Xbox, but this is still my favorite Xbox controller at the moment. And I use it daily on my streams. So I'm not just making this video and then just not using it. I use this daily on every single stream, every single video. I have hand cams. I'm literally using this controller on a daily basis, and you can see it over the last month or so in all my videos that I've used this controller consistently the entire month. Now for some final words of availability. It does officially launch as of right now. We know August 10th is going to be the official launch date. So you can probably find some more stock on Amazon, their website, even TikTok, starting on August 10th. Hopefully I can get you guys a code or something to use. I will definitely update the description down below if you guys are looking for a code, want to support me, maybe even a discount. Be on the lookout for that starting August 10th. And I'll update the description down below so you guys can check it out and use my link. At the moment, I do not have a link, but just keep on checking out Amazon. Check out my TikTok. All my links are down below in the description. And I hope you guys enjoy this controller as much as I have. I thank you guys and appreciate you guys for watching, taking the time to watch this video. But G7 Pro, there it is once again. So beautiful. And I'll see you guys in the next video.